Hello Internet, welcome back to Cinema Brawls. My name is Matt, and I'm going to skip all the intro stuff because I know Daniel is fighting a losing battle with massive hemorrhoids, so let's get right into the subject of this video, and that is, what is the best Steven Spielberg movie?
You alright?
It's the hemorrhoids, man.
Oh, yeah, he told me he forgot his pillow.
They got creams for that, you know?
Steven Spielberg is quite possibly the greatest and most influential film director of all time. He started filmmaking as a young man in the Boy Scouts of America, where to get his photography merit badge, he coerced his scoutmaster into letting him actually make videos. He would make like Civil War reenactments, but with like 12 to 14-year-old boys. So that was cool. And then he went to film school where he became friends with many now famous directors like George Lucas, Francis Ford Coppola, and I believe Martin Scorsese as well.
We do.
We love him so much that in every single one of our videos, in this corner is a picture of him.
Every time we play a clip, there is a picture of Steven Spielberg on the table next to the TV.
We hoped you would notice, and we hope that Steven Spielberg notices because he's absolutely watching this video right now. And I just wanted to say, Mr. Spielberg, I love you.
This is going to be the first in a, occasional series we'll do where we do a stacked brawl of a specific director. So today the three of us have gotten to collaborated of what we think is the best Steven Spielberg movie, and we will, deliberate on which one is actually the best. Jake, what movie did you pick?
Well, Matt, Daniel, you see, much like Daniel's hemorrhoids, I will be fighting a losing battle as well today.
I told you that in confidence.
I picked Ready Player One. It's his most recent movie.
It's a good one.
It's a great one.
But it's amazing. Now, unfortunately, it is going to have to go up against behemoths who have stood the test of time, such as...
The movie I've picked is Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's right. I went Indiana Jones. Do I need to explain anything other than that? You all know the movie. You know who Indiana Jones is.
You know the movie.
You probably went for him as Halloween.
Right.
Or went as him for Halloween.
I know I did.
Right. And much like that, I'm just going to have a hard time arguing against such a highly credited film. But I do have a reasoning behind this, and I think you guys should validate me.
I think Ready Player One has merit.
Absolutely. Ready Player One is fantastic.
What are you voting for?
I have picked Steven Spielberg's best movie ever, which is Schindler's List.
Now that, when you say behemoth, that's a behemoth.
That was a little bit more of a behemoth. So, 3 kind of different movies.
Mm-hmm. All directed by one genius man.
And I feel like every single one of the movies we have is just great for different reasons.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Which is why I think this is going to be an interesting conversation.
So, with that being said, let's put our hands in and we'll start the deliberation of the best Steven Spielberg movie. On your mark, get set, brawl.
I'm going to go first. So, for the story of Schindler's List. Oh, man, there's a lot that happens. Schindler's List, I think even, the story itself spans years, and is the story of Oskar Schindler, who is an entrepreneurial spirit from Czechoslovakia, who has decided to use quote-unquote free Jewish labor in his manufacturing plants in Nazi-occupied Germany. And is the story of how he goes from a entrepreneurial, greedy man to a very rich entrepreneurial, greedy man to a very poor saint of a man, where he has given up his livelihood for the lives of thousands of Jewish people. During the Holocaust, based on an absolutely true story, and it is devastating. This story hurts me to my core. I have never felt so sad in a movie. Anyway, Matt.
So, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark is just one of those classic action-adventure movies that, I can watch in almost every mood. I think it is fast-paced, it's interesting, it has some good humor, some good action. I just love the mystery of going through these temples and figuring out the puzzles, finding the treasure, and just, I mean, the way that Indiana Jones has seeped into pop culture is just fantastic. And of course, the story being Indiana Jones, this archaeology professor at a college, decides that he's going to go and find these old artifacts and relics to bring them to the museum so he has more things to talk about in his class.
It belongs in the museum.
And it's just, it's great. It's a simple premise, but it's just written so well. And like I said, the step-by-step events of going to this place, figuring out this clue, going to this place, solving the puzzle, to then go and find the thing and fight in a pit of snakes is great.
So great.
Yeah. Great.
Go ahead, Jake.
All right, Ready Player One's relatively new, but it was a whole heap of fun. Don't you guys agree with me?
Oh my gosh,
Very
I
much
loved
fun.
it.
I think that the reason the story for this one is so just wonderfully done is because it takes place in our fantasy. Like, not only do we hope one day to have such an amazing VR virtual escape, but actually being in there, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a story where possibilities are literally endless, and you get to explore a lot of those possibilities and kind of see what happens. But it also has like a ton of nostalgia, a lot of callbacks to a lot of different old things, which is also really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, classic heroes like Steven Spielberg likes to do, fighting against classic corporate villains. Mm-hmm. In this case, corporate. In other cases, Nazis. And in other cases, Nazis.
Other cases.
Nazis.
Right.
Wow, he takes on Nazis in a lot of his movies.
Right. But I think, these guys were kind of like the future Nazis, if you feel what I'm saying. True. So,
Corporate Nazis.
Corporate Nazis, yeah, for sure. But the story just had
Ben
a lot
Mendelsohn.
of,
That's
like
nice.
I said, the story had a lot of possibilities that were, worked with, and it just made it a fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very fun movie.
Very much fun.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of story, again, we will vote for which story we think is best. Can't vote for your own. Who is voting for Schindler's List? Who is voting for Raiders of the Lost Ark? And who is voting for Ready Player One?
Suck, man.
I know. Don't.
I gotta vote! All right, well, Raiders of the Lost Ark took that.
Easy.
It's
easy.
a good one. It's a good movie.
It's a great movie. We love it. We love everything about all of these movies.
Well, let me move you into characters, my man.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it, there was a lot of characters in this movie,
And the
which were
characters had a lot of
callbacks
characters.
from other movies.
Yeah,
Therefore, I would like to argue that Ready Player One not only had its own characters, but it also had characters such as the Iron Giant. And you have to look at the Iron Giant's movie to consider the characters. Iron Giant had a lot of feeling in that movie, and the characters were amazing.
Okay, let's narrow it here.
I feel
Because
like
I also had the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Batman
Turtles.
was climbing. Yeah, Batman's the greatest character ever invented of all time. Point is,
This was the argument you've spent days writing. Is that what you were?
shut your mouth. I'm working with what I got here.
You know what? That's it. I'm voting for Ready Player One.
Yeah, there it is. But honestly, in real life, the actual characters are, they have something to fight for. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems like, it's just some kids playing in video games. Pretty early on in the movie, like, this kid's home gets blown to freaking at pieces.
It's true.
Oh, yeah.
Because of, like, greed.
Yeah.
Because of people who just want to make money. And they're, killing people.
It wasn't just his home. It was dozens of
It was a lot. And so there were real stakes going on in this, and these guys actually had, a cause to fight for. And if you're going to join a cause and fight for it, what more fun way than in a video game?
Oh, absolutely.
But honestly, it was cool. I mean, these characters were from different backgrounds. They're from different places, and they came together. They were friends easily.
Oh, yeah.
and they were just able to work together really well against a villain that, you know, was easy to hate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Definitely. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you're right.
We're done here. I'm kidding. I don't want to come across as like...
Henry Jones Jr.
Anyway, the point that I want to make, that I want to stress here is Indiana Jones is just a good, well-rounded character. He has his flaws. He has his fears. Mm-hmm. He is incredibly smart. Isn't exactly like the biggest, strongest guy in the world, but he's willing to push himself to get the things done.
Oh, yeah.
And Marion is great. So
good that, in fact, that they brought her back for the 4th movie.
Right. And it's like, she isn't your basic damsel in distress. She's a good, like, supplement to what Indy is already bringing to the table. And Belloc was a great villain. He made it pretty far in our villains bracket we did a few weeks ago. It's hard to say these aren't good characters when they've just become such pop culture classics. They're
iconic.
They're very iconic, yeah. Just after this one movie. And the sequels are just as good. 4th one was I hate.
You see, one of the reasons why I love the characters in Schindler's List is because they are all real people. And one thing that I thought was really powerful was at the end, for the end credits for the actors, they had the actors and then like the names of the real people. And some of the actors were escorting the real people that were in the situation. The still alive characters. The still alive remnants of these people, and they were placing flowers on Oskar Schindler's grave. And one thing I liked about Oskar Schindler in particular is that in real life he wasn't a very good person, and in the movie he still saved thousands of people from awful deaths, and that's incredible. But it never used that as an excuse to be like, this is a perfect man. He still has flaws. He still has his own vices and his own self-interest at heart for the bulk of it, but then there are specific moments where you see that change, and that change is brought out with these great performances by Ben Kingsley and Liam Neeson, that they are just these powerful, impactful characters brought from history onto our screens, and it's incredible.
Okay, who is voting for Ready Player One for characters? Who is voting for Raiders of the Lost Ark for characters? And who is voting for Schindler's List for characters?
It's hard to beat real life people.
That's true.
With real stories.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Rewatchability.
Oh, in the bag. Raiders got nothing on Ready Player One.
Excuse you?
Raiders is
let me break it down.
Subpar.
Get out of my house.
You get out. Listen, hear me out. Raiders is a good movie, and it's got a good story, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
There you go.
But not like Ready Player One. It's newer. It's got better graphics, which are way more fun, and it's got much more movies to pull from, which, I mean, no matter where you come from, you're going to like the movie because of what type of pop culture it's able to bring in.
Well, see, but does that hurt the movie?
No,
the fact that it's only rewatchable because of the nostalgia it draws from other movies.
Doesn't matter why something's rewatchable if it is rewatchable.
But Raiders of the Lost Ark is so rewatchable for what it, is in and of itself. The fun action adventure movie.
Which is what Ready Player One is. I mean, it's not like it relies on the nostalgia of the 80s. It still has its own...
It's nostalgia for the 2000s as well.
Right. It still has its own action-packed adventure. It just happens to center around those things. They're there, but it doesn't rely on it.
It's true.
And it's a good, fun adventure where, you don't know if the hero's going to win. There are real stakes. And, big...
There are life-altering consequences to Ready Player One.
Right. And it's like, sure, Indiana Jones is a great rewatchable movie, but you're watching a dude trek through the desert with some artifacts. Like, this one leaves so much more to the imagination that you can play with.
First of all, Raiders of the Lost Ark is not just an old guy trekking through the desert carrying some artifacts.
That's Harrison Ford trekking through the desert with some artifacts.
No. Yes, but no. It's Harrison Ford bungeeing into a pyramid with an ancient scepter to find the location of the actual Ark of the Covenant, but gets interrupted by Nazis, which he then tries to get the Ark back from and fights Nazi tanks. But they eventually win, and if you're talking real stakes, when they open it, you know what happened.
You're right.
You know what
real
I'm talking
stakes, the zombies. Faces getting melted off.
Oh yeah, big corporate person that just buys out a video game.
Blows people up for the video game.
Desperate time. People were blowing things up in Raiders of the Lost
Yeah.
Ark. Point is, there's a lot more to Raiders of the Lost Ark that makes it very rewatchable. I scroll through Netflix.
I'm not saying it's not rewatchable.
You
I'm
said
saying
you did
it's
say
less
it was.
rewatchable.
I scroll through Netflix, and every time I pass Raiders of the Lost Ark, I always want to watch it.
You own
how
Ready Player One, though.
I do. Well, yeah.
You actually owned 2 copies of Ready Player One.
It's because it came with
Check
the Blu-ray
and point.
That doesn't matter. I own Indiana Jones too.
Well, then why do you need to watch it on Netflix?
It's easier.
Why is Schindler's List rewatchable?
Oh, it's absolutely not. This is an emotionally devastating movie, and if you can get through it more than once, good freak, man. Do you need to talk? I'm here.
Mostly just bitter because I have to vote for you, but that's not exactly a bad thing because Ready Player One is incredibly rewatchable. I
It
agree.
is rewatchable. Yeah, okay.
I just think Ready Player One's giving you a lot more to work with when rewatching the movies.
I mean, yeah. It's definitely a lot cooler to look at aesthetically.
Right.
Are you sure? All right.
Look, if I'm taking one of these categories, it's this one.
All right, rewatchability.
Who's voting Schindler's List? Shocker. I'm kidding.
That's brutal.
Totally kidding.
Yeah, no,
who's,
it's fine.
who's voting Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Daniel, you suck.
Who's voting Ready Player One?
Sorry.
No, you're not. You will be.
Merits in genre. Go ahead and start.
Merits in genre. It's good.
Really not like on top 10 of every top 100 movies list of all time. You're not going to go for that angle.
It is. It's on the AFI Best American Movie 100 Best American Movies, but Raiders of the Lost Ark's also on there, and so is Saving Private Ryan,
Ready Player One will get there one day.
and
It
so
doesn't
is
have the time.
It
E.T.
very well could. If I may, propose that Indiana Jones literally made the action adventure genre, or at least changed it in a way that that's the formula people make now. Great, amazing movies like Back to the Future. I'm blanking on other action
National
adventure
Treasure,
Just say et
obviously inspired,
etc. All those great action adventure movies that we like that has come after that has, been that good because of how good Raiders of the Lost Ark was. And Raiders of the Lost Ark is so good, but let's take a second and talk about where it came from. George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, great friends already, decide to go on a vacation to Hawaii right before Jaws. Was it Jaws?
Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Star Wars right before they came out. And
They came out the same week.
and they're in Hawaii just like, man, I hope my movie does good. Yeah, I hope mine does too. Yeah, I hope yours does too. And they're just like, hey, how about we keep our minds off it and write another screenplay? And it's just one of those that just kind of came out of nowhere and turned out to be really good.
It was just great, yeah.
Go ahead.
I got nothing for mine. I mean, it can't go up against the top 2 movies ever.
Based on a book, which was very
Sure,
well done
which is
compared to
fine.
other book adaptations.
But
absolutely.
it hasn't had enough time to do much for its genre, so I'm going to have to roll over and give this one to you guys.
I mean, in terms of like special effects spectacles, even in the last few years, it stands out. It's
Oh yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Even
Which,
Endgame.
and like I said,
Endgame.
great, but it just hasn't had as much impact.
Anyway, who's voting for Schindler's List here? Yeah.
You're gonna vote for my movie?
Who's voting for Ready Player One?
I'll vote Schindler's.
Oh, and I'll vote for Ready Player One. All right, comes down to this.
Emotional impact.
See, I knew when I was picking this movie that it'd be a little heavy, and it's hard to talk about in a comedy show like this. But Schindler's List was made specifically by Steven Spielberg because he saw a rise in anti-Semitism and neo-Nazis in America. And he was concerned that history was being distorted through these groups. And because of that, he made Schindler's List specifically to combat that, specifically to bring the truth back into the limelight. And because of that, he has made one of the most powerful emotional pieces of cinema in the world. Like there are very few movies, when you think of emotional movies, there are very few more emotional than Schindler's List because of that passion. And because these were real people in those real situations with an unflinching grip on the reality of it, it's hard not to feel something for that. And when you've got other great movies like The Pianist, Sophie's Choice, Saving Private Ryan, they're also about the horrors of Nazis and World War II. To have this stand out among them is an amazing feat. And I think that's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, this is one of the best movies.
You're right. The problem is, like, when you make a war movie, any kind of war movie, if you do it well, it is going to be emotionally taxing. It just is.
Yeah.
Did the movies get across the emotion they were trying to convey?
I think both of them did. Like, pure adventure and fun, pure just heart-wrenching.
The spectacle and fun of Ready Player One was done very well.
Yes, I also have a movie in here as well.
I know, I'm sorry. I was focused on these two, and I feel bad, because, again, Ready Player One's fantastic. It's like second or third tier Spielberg, but that's better than, like, 90% of movies.
Right. I don't know what else to say about it. Like,
I know.
Indiana Jones, yeah, it's just...
It encapsulates the sense of adventure.
Oh, yeah. Sense of
Hardcore.
adventure,
Easy.
action, mystery, and a little bit of horror at the end.
But I'm just going to level with you guys. Either of you voting for Ready Player One on this?
Probably not.
No, of course not. So, which means I get to decide what movie is the best Steven Spielberg movie here now. And hear me out. Your movie has a lot more emotion. It has a ton more emotion. And
Very potent.
grabs that very potently. Your movie has one sense of emotion.
But an emotion that you would much rather feel.
But if you think adventure movie, you think Indiana
You
Jones.
think Indiana Jones, you do.
Because honestly, it captured that one emotion so well. Not to say yours didn't.
No, I understand. It's just... They're so
yours
different.
has more emotion. I don't walk away from Indiana Jones thinking, wow, I'm really feeling stuff right now. I just walk away thinking, that was so much fun. Oh.
Dude, that's...
But that's the emotion it wants you to
That's the
feel.
emotion it's
Yeah.
going for, which is the important part. But yeah, I think I leave with more of a high after watching Indiana Jones. So I'm voting for that.
I'll vote for it, too.
I'll vote for Schindler's List.
Thanks, man.
Just so it's on the books.
Oh, well, then I'm switching to Schindler's List.
Well,
Sorry, I thought you were voting Ready Player One.
Oh, man.
there you have it. According to us, at least here today, Raiders of the Lost Ark is the best Steven Spielberg movie. Good job. Next time, when we do a stacked brawl of a specific director, I can actually tell you what we're planning to do. It will be David Fincher.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Comment below, first of all, if you agree or disagree with our picks. Of course, we missed a ton of great Steven Spielberg movies. Jaws, E.T., Jurassic Park. Comment below what your favorite is. And then also comment below what you think the best David Fincher movie is. So maybe, just maybe, we'll go based off your comments.
Yeah, we all know it's Fight Club. Bye.